Warm good morning to all of you children. Today we are going to study about the atmosphere, its composition and structure, and we will also go through heating of the atmosphere, in which we will study about insolation, terrestrial radiation, heat budget, ozone layer depletion and greenhouse effect. So let us start with our first topic, that is atmosphere. What is atmosphere? We all know that Earth is a unique planet due to the presence of life. The air is one among the necessary conditions for the existence of life on this planet. The air is a mixture of several gases and it encompasses the earth from all sides. The air surrounding the earth is called the atmosphere. So, in a simple sentence, we can say that the blanket of air which surrounds the earth is called atmosphere. So, the atmosphere is a mixture of different gases. It contains life-giving gases like oxygen for humans and animals and carbon dioxide for plants. It envelops the earth all round and it held in place by the gravity of the earth. It means there is presence of atmosphere on the surface of the earth due to the gravity of the earth. So all the atmospheric layers are well maintained. It helps in stopping the ultraviolet rays that is harmful to reach on the surface of the earth. You might have studied about the ozone layer. Ozone layer is the layer which prevents ultraviolet rays of the sun to enter into the atmosphere of the earth. Children, atmosphere is very important for us. Generally, it extends up to the height of 1600 km from the surface, but presently the new investigation and discoveries have proved that it is found up to the height of 3200 km from the surface of the earth. So 99% of the total atmosphere is confined to the height of 32 km from the earth's surface. I mean, it is the part of troposphere and stratosphere. So you must remember, although it is mentioned in most of the textbook that the atmosphere extends up to the height of 1600 km, but present discoveries have proved that atmospheric layers are found up to the height of 3200 meter from the surface of the earth. Now let us understand about the composition of the atmosphere. The atmosphere is made up of different gases, water vapor and dust particles. The composition of the atmosphere is not static and it changes according to the time and place. Gases of the atmosphere are found in different quantities. The most important gases are nitrogen, oxygen and carbon dioxide. So nitrogen and oxygen are the two main gases in the atmosphere, and 99% of the atmosphere is made up of these two gases. Other gases like argon, carbon, neon, helium and hydrogen are also found in certain quantity. You might be knowing that hydrogen is called the mother gas of all the gases. So let us go through the percentage of the gases present in the atmosphere. So all are the elements of the atmosphere. They constitute the atmosphere. So nitrogen is 78.084% with largest amount, oxygen 20.946%, argon 0.934%, carbon dioxide 0.037%, neon 0.00182%, helium 0.00052%, methane 0.00015%, and krypton is 0.00011%. So all the gases which are found in a small quantity are called noble gases, and their percentage is only 1%. So remember, nitrogen has the highest percentage, that is 78% approx, and oxygen with 21%. The portion of the gases in the higher layer of the atmosphere in such a way that oxygen will be almost negligible quantity at the height of 120 km. It means oxygen is the gas which is present in large quantity near to the surface of the earth. Similarly, carbon dioxide and water vapor is found only up to 90 km from the surface of the earth. Carbon dioxide is one of the most important gas. Carbon dioxide is meteorologically a very important gas. Now you might be knowing the work of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. It is transparent to the incoming solar radiation but opaque to the outgoing terrestrial radiation. It means this gas maintains heat balance on the surface of the earth. The heat which enters into the earth's atmosphere is trapped in a small amount that makes the environment cozy, homely for the living beings. It absorbs a part of terrestrial radiation and reflects back some part of it towards the earth's surface. CO2 is largely responsible for the greenhouse effect. When the volume of other gases remains constant in the atmosphere, the volume of the carbon dioxide has been rising in the past few decades, mainly because of the burning of fossil fuels. This rising volume of carbon dioxide is the main reason for global warming. So children, here we discuss 2 points. Carbon dioxide is most important gas because it helps to maintain the level of insolation on the surface of the earth. But if the percentage of CO2 is increased in the atmosphere, it has several adverse effects such as a rise in temperature and global warming, melting of the ice caps, rise in level of the seawater, change in climatic conditions. So number of things can happen when the percentage of the different gases in the atmosphere is disturbed. Either it is increased or it is decreased. Ozone is the most important gas present in the atmosphere. It is another important component of the atmosphere found mainly between 10 to 50 km above the surface of the earth. It acts as a filter and absorbs the ultraviolet rays radiating from the sun and prevents them from reaching the surface of the earth. The amount of ozone gas in the atmosphere is very little and is limited to the ozone layer found in the stratosphere. So children, ozone layer is very important for us. It is one of the layer which prevents ultraviolet rays of the sun to enter into the atmosphere of the earth. So it is very harmful because it causes different types of cancer. Skin cancer or any other type of cancer have the root cause of ultraviolet rays. Water vapor is another most important element in the atmosphere. So gases form of water present in the atmosphere is called water vapor, or the amount of vapor, moisture present in the atmosphere is water vapor. It is found in the form of humidity. So it is the source of all kinds of precipitation. The amount of water vapor decreases with altitude. It also decreases from the equator towards the poles. Its maximum amount in the atmosphere could be up to 4%, which is found in the warm and wet regions. Water vapor reaches in the atmosphere through evaporation and transpiration. Evaporation takes place from the ocean, seas, rivers, ponds, etc., while transpiration takes place from plants, trees, and other living organisms. Water vapor absorbs part of the incoming solar radiation from the sun and preserves the earth's radiated heat. It thus acts like a blanket allowing the earth neither to become too cold or too hot. Water vapor also contributes to the stability and instability in the atmosphere. Next most important element is dust particle that is found in the atmosphere. It is working as condensation nuclei. It means the condensation of the moisture present in the air takes place on the dust particles, pollen grains, soot, oceanic salts, etc. So children, it helps us in condensation and precipitation. It means rainfall is only possible on the surface of the earth due to the presence of such impurities on which condensation takes place. They are called condensation nuclei. So these dust particles are very important. We have already studied, and they are working in the form of precipitation to take place on the surface of the earth. Next, we are going to study the role of dust particles in the atmosphere. Dust particles are generally found in the lower layer of the atmosphere. These particles are found in the form of sand, smoke soot, oceanic salt, ash, pollen grains, etc. Higher concentration of dust particles is found in subtropical and temperate regions due to dry winds in comparison to equatorial and polar regions. These dust particles help in condensation of water vapor. During the condensation, water vapor gets condensed in the form of droplets around these dust particles. So they are called condensation nuclei. Structure of the atmosphere. The atmosphere can be divided into 5 layers according to the diversity of temperature and density. Children, these layers are troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere and exosphere. Now we are going to study the features of troposphere. Now let us have a quick look about the altitude of the different layers. Troposphere is found up to the height of 8 km roughly, and stratosphere up to the height of 50 km. Mesosphere 80 km, thermosphere about 400 km, and exosphere has no limit, although we write up to 1600 km. Troposphere. It is the closermost layer from the surface of the earth. Its height is 8 km at the poles and 18 km on the equator. Its height is maximum on the equator because of the rapid convectional current which is found in the equatorial area due to the receiving of maximum heat and insolation. As you know that the sun rays fall vertically throughout the year on the equatorial area, so the reason is the belt of rapid convectional current in the atmosphere. And you have also studied that the area receives convectional rainfall. So children, this is the reason the height of the troposphere is maximum on the equator. Next important feature is that troposphere contains dust particles and water vapor. All the weather phenomena, whether it is thunder, lightning, rainfall, fog, frost, humidity, everything takes place in the troposphere itself. The air in this belt is never static. It is highly turbulent. So it is also called the zone of turbulence or zone of changing sphere. The environmental temperature decreases with height in the troposphere. There is fall in 1 degree Celsius temperature after every 165 meters altitude. This is called normal lapse rate. The zone spreading up to troposphere, the boundary which separates troposphere and stratosphere is called tropopause. Now this thickness of the tropopause is about 5 kilometers. So this is a boundary, imaginary boundary which separates troposphere and the stratosphere. This narrow boundary is the belt of jet streams. the fast flowing winds which are found in the upper layer of the troposphere. The air temperature at the tropopause is about 80 degrees Celsius over the equator and about 45 degrees Celsius over the poles. The temperature here is nearly constant and hence it is called tropopause. Stratosphere. It is the second most important layer in the atmosphere. It extends up to the height of 50 km. The temperature remains almost constant in this layer up to the height of 20 kilometers. So it is also known as the belt of constant. You might have seen the jet aircraft and its smoke just emitting out in a straight line is only because of there is no wind movement found in this atmospheric layer. The temperature increases due to the presence of ozone gas after certain altitude. Weather related incidents do not take place in this layer. The air blows horizontally here. There is no rainfall, no fog, no frost or no any type of weather phenomena found in this layer. The upper limit of the stratosphere is known as stratopause. It means it is the boundary which separates stratosphere and mesosphere. The relative thickness of the ozone layer is measured in Dobson unit, which is found in this atmospheric layer. We have already studied about the importance of the ozone layer found in this region. It is mainly found in the lower portion of the stratosphere from approximately 20 to 30 kilometers above the surface of the earth. Mesosphere. It is the third layer of the atmosphere spreading over the stratopause. It extends up to the height of 80 km. In this layer, the temperature starts decreasing with increasing altitude and reaches up to minus 100 degrees Celsius at the height of 80 km. Meteors or falling stars occur in this layer. The upper limit of the mesosphere is known as mesopause. The next layer which we are going to study is thermosphere. It has two divisions, ionosphere and exosphere. Children, we are going to study in detail about ionosphere. Ionosphere is one of the most important layer found in the atmosphere. This layer is located between 80 to 400 km above the mesopause. So roughly we say that it extends up to about 600 km above the surface. It contains electrically charged particles known as ions and hence it is known as the ionosphere. Radio waves transmitted from the earth are reflected back to the earth by this layer, and due to this radio broadcasting has become possible. The temperature here starts increasing with heights. It is the layer which consumes, burns all meteors. So children, this ionosphere is very important layer for us, which helps in radio communication and is one of the consumer of meteorites. We divide this ionosphere into different layers according to their importance, and these layers can be F1, F2, D, D1, sporadic D, etc. Children, now we are going to understand deeply about the work of ionosphere. We will divide ionosphere into different divisions and will come to know about their features. The first layer is D layer. The D layer reflects low frequency radio waves but absorbs medium and high frequency waves. Being closely associated with solar radiation, it disappears as soon as the sun sets. During increased sunspot activity, all medium and high frequency radio waves stop. The next layer is called E layer. The E layer is also called the Kennedy-Heaviside layer. It reflects the medium and high frequency radio waves. It is much better defined than the D layer. It is produced by ultraviolet photons from the sun interacting with nitrogen and nitrogen molecules. This layer also doesn't exist at night. The next layer is called sporadic E layer. This layer occurs under special circumstances. It is believed that this sporadic layer is caused by meteors and by the same processes that causes aurora lights. This region is often characterized by high velocity winds. It affects very high frequency radio waves. Next layer after sporadic E is E2 layer. This region is found above the E layer and sporadic E layer. It is produced by ultraviolet photons acting upon oxygen molecules. It appears in the daytime and vanishes at the sunset. F1 layer. There is another reflecting layer above the different layers of E region. There are two sublayers in this region, F1 and F2. These two sublayers are collectively known as the applaton layer. The F1 appears during the day but disappears at night. This layer is especially important in long distance radio communication. F2 layer, like the F1 layer, this layer is very important in long distance radio transmission. This layer is characterized by diurnal as well as the seasonal variability. It appears as directly related to sunspot activity. Its maximum development occurs shortly after local noon and during the middle of winter. The last layer of the ionosphere is G layer. This reflecting layer is found above the F2 layer. Its existence came to be known as a result of the latest exploration carried into the upper part of the atmosphere. It is most probably present much of the time, but it may not be detectable since the F layer reflects all waves reflected by this layer. Because of the interaction of ultraviolet photons with nitrogen atoms, free electrons are produced in this G layer. So children, we studied about the different layers of the ionosphere which are helpful to us in radio communication. The next topic which we are going to study is heating of the atmosphere. The atmosphere is heated through insolation. Insolation is the incoming solar radiation received by the earth. Insolation is in the form of short waves. As the insolation enters the atmosphere, a part of it is reflected, another part is absorbed, and the remaining reaches the earth's surface. The another word is terrestrial radiation. The sun's energy absorbed by the earth's surface when radiated out into the space is called terrestrial radiation. Terrestrial radiation is in the form of long waves. The amount of energy radiated by the earth is equal to the amount of insolation absorbed by the earth's surface. The terrestrial radiation is estimated at 51 units. Out of this, water vapor and gases absorbs 34 units of energy and rest 17 units are radiated back to space. Children, we are going to study in detail about this heat budget, how the earth maintains its heat budget. Heat budget. The word heat budget refers to the incoming solar radiation and the balance of outgoing terrestrial radiation. So the difference between insolation and the terrestrial radiation which is maintained on the surface of the earth is called heat budget. Heat budget is performed vertically and horizontally. Horizontally, it takes place through winds and ocean currents. while vertically the heat is absorbed and radiated back into space. So let us understand about the vertical heat budget. Let us assume that 100 unit of insolation is coming to the surface of the earth. Out of 100 unit, only 51 unit is coming on the surface. That is, 49 units are completely lost and reflected back. 35 is reflected back, while 14 unit is absorbed or consumed by the atmospheric layers. The 51 unit which reaches to the surface of the earth is also reflected back. 17 unit directly goes to the space, while 34 unit is absorbed by the clouds and other atmospheric gases. So the entire 100 unit of the insolation was transmitted through terrestrial radiation into the space. This function is called the heat budget. Next we are going to study the ozone layer, the greenhouse effect and global warming. Ozone is an allotrope of oxygen. Oxygen is a gas having 3 atoms of oxygen in its molecules. Ozone is produced by the action of sunlight on oxygen in the upper layer of atmosphere. The amount of ozone in the atmosphere gradually increases from 16 km until at about 23 km altitude. The ozone layer in the upper atmosphere is of great importance because it absorbs the harmful ultraviolet rays coming from the sun. Now, what causes the destruction of the ozone layer? There are 3 main reasons. The first reason is use of chlorofluorocarbons. It is called CFCs. Second is radioactive substances, radioactive minerals. And the third is air pollution, which is caused by the industrial units and several other man-made causes. The next important topic is greenhouse effect. The heating up of the Earth's atmosphere due to trapping of infrared rays reflected from the Earth's surface by the carbon dioxide layer in the atmosphere is called greenhouse effect. It means greenhouse effect is the effect of the CO2 present in the atmosphere which increases in large amount. Carbon dioxide gas present in the atmosphere performs an important function in the atmosphere and produces the greenhouse effect, leading to the heating up of the atmosphere. When the percentage of carbon dioxide increases in the atmosphere, its effect is called the greenhouse effect. The rise in temperature produced by greenhouse effect in the Earth's atmosphere depends on the amount of CO2 gas present in the atmosphere. So when carbon dioxide in the atmosphere increases, it causes global warming. So now understand what will happen when there will be global warming. Global warming is the increase in the average temperature of the Earth's near surface air and oceans in recent decades and its projected continuations. Though greenhouse effect plays a vital role in warming our earth, but due to man's activities, the proportion of CO2 has increased considerably, leading to increased heating of the earth's atmosphere. Rise in temperature of the earth has caused several adverse effects such as melting of the ice caps, rise in level of the seawater, change in climatic condition, submergence of the island countries, and several other phenomena which are going on or which are taking place in different parts of the world. Some of the adverse effects of global warming are rise in temperature, rise in level of the seawater, melting of the ice caps, rise in average temperature of the earth, bleaching of coral polyps, and loss of flora and fauna. So, children, global warming is one of the burning issue of the present day. We will have to work to eradicate this problem from the earth's surface. So thank you all of you. See you in my next class.